Hi, my name is Siobhan, something else known me as Nishad, and this is Spurs Video Podcast. Obviously coming up to the end of the season, for those, that was me wearing pink lipstick at Croatian Horses. Thank you so much for that, Coral. Actually, that says the name of the lipstick, Coral. The person gave me the lipstick, what was it called, Coral? But yeah, it was a really fun atmosphere. Obviously, it does help when you win, but yeah, it's been like the end of the season for a while. Players, I don't think they've been phoning in, but it has been a bit, that energy, that desire hasn't been there because the players have had a lot of games. Obviously, Europa League has a big impact. We also have the Carling Cup as well, or the Capital One Cup. I don't know if they call it the Carling Cup, but it's been a long season and there's been a lot of changes. So, I'm going to talk about, basically about the season and my thoughts and reflections on it, and by talking about a season from nearly 3 years ago now. There's been a lot of division between Spurs fans since about roughly 2012, when Harry was first linked with England. He wasn't offered it; he was first linked with it, and things just we've been very much there's been a lot of disunity between a lot of Spurs fans. We've actually been able to get behind any manager. And obviously, I think there was some fighting at Stoke apparently. And I think you've got two kinds of Spurs fans. You've got the ones that are very, very everything's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Other kinds of Spurs fans, everything's fucking shit. Oh, that's shit. We lose. Get the fuck rid of them. As always, it's always somewhere in the middle. I think we've heard about. Well, apparently we're going to go away from being the really big signings and we're going to keep 10-15 million or something. I think if the strategy goes wrong, it's not just because you spent too much or whatever. There are things that contribute to the strategy. I think there are things that can be learned from. And I'm going to use two examples, Sardar and Lamela, which I think, if any two players symbolise the lavish spending of the Bale windfall, it's those two guys. Sardar, very good player. He scored quite a few number of goals in Spain. Hasn't really worked out from here. But let's look at Sardaro's last season at Valencia. Out of the 6 games he would have played in the league against Real, Barca, or Atletico, he only scored once. I think that was against Atletico. Now, there's no shame against that. Barca and Real, just clearly the way the deck is stacked in their favour in terms of TV rights. There's no shame in that. But clearly, that basically says that the rest of Spain aren't as good. So, he only scored once. And give him his credit, he did score 4 goals against Sociedad, who had just finished above them. So by about a point or something, they just lost to Champions League qualification. But by and large, he didn't really score that many goals against sort of the real elite sides. And maybe should that have factored into the play? Lamela, 15-30. Again, very, very good. But if you look at that, he only 2 of those goals of the 15 goals, which again is very, very incredible to score that many goals, especially from a midfielder, wide midfielder. Juventus, Napoli, and Milan finished top 3 that season. He scored 2 goals against I think it was Milan. So again, great. But look in the context, they were already 2-0 up. So I think he got a third for 30 minutes. So maybe they weren't out of the races. I think he got a 4th when they're clearly chasing a game. And they did actually, which evidence showed, because they ended up scoring 2 goals in the last 10 minutes, so it meant that's 4-2. So clearly he had a lot more time and space. But those goals he scored weren't against the elite of Italy. There's no shame. You have to, 3 points against Chelsea. Same 3 points against, I don't know, QPR. But you get 3 points for being either team, but one carries a lot more kudos, a lot more weight in terms of your performance. You have to put on a much better performance to beat Chelsea than you would say to beat QPR. How would I quantify that? If someone said, "Oh, let's just go look at this," I've got scout a player. He looked really good. He scored 2 goals on the weekend in the Premier League. Wow, got to look at that. Oh yeah, he's a left winger, kind of plays wide, cuts a cut in, and he scored 2 goals. He goes, oh yeah, we should sign him. Because who did he play against? QPR. Chadley scored a lot of goals, 13 goals, and he's done very well. And he scored against Arsenal, he scored against Chelsea, so take nothing away from that. But what I'm trying to say is that you wouldn't judge a player on that performance against QPR. You wouldn't think, oh shit, I've got to sign that player straight away, because QPR were absolutely turgid. I think that's what we have to look at. So clearly there have been errors in the strategy. First of all, I mean, obviously Bale, sometimes at the end of the season, God knows how many times. If Real Madrid had got to the Champions League final and had won it, chances are they wouldn't have signed it. They wouldn't want to sign Bale. And if they'd signed Neymar, I don't know why they would sign him, because they considering they had Ronaldo there, but if they'd done that, they probably wouldn't have gone out to sign a marquee player like Bale. But that's what they did. So clearly, first of all, it's AB's first season. He takes the time to figure out what he needs. The heart of his team's been taken away. He has to rebuild his team. And I can understand that. You go out and you buy 3 or 4 players, and you think, well, one of these players, I can, given time, I can build a team around these players, around this player, add a bit more quality, look to build forward. But obviously, he wasn't afforded that. Lamela didn't really work out. Obviously, he had injuries. Cuadrado settling in. Eriksen, I think, was injured, came quite late, didn't have a pre-season. So really, it didn't really happen. I think one of the things the game lacks is patience. I was listening to, I think, for All the Roads, like Raj Baines, really clever guy, and he was talking about the idea that, the best investment, the most selfless one is like if you plant an old man that plant trees whose shade they'll never sit under. The idea being that these guys are doing something that they're never going to benefit from. And it's very difficult, especially in this league, that you can get fired under 2 years to really develop something, unless you A, you've got a lot of money, or B, you've got a lot of time. Now, Levy's not going to give you a lot of money, so and our fans going to give you a lot of time. It's an interesting one. You've got Howard Wilson, Gary Kelly, Jonathan Woodgate, Ian Hart, a whole bunch of those players came through at the exact same time. Howard Wilson didn't benefit from that at all. I think it was George Graham and then David O'Leary, and then they had this success they did. But the person who put that whole thing together wasn't around to actually reap the rewards of it. And that's what I'm trying to say. It does take time. You've had Pochettino has come in. I put this on SpursForum.co.uk. That's the forum I post on, but also at Spurs Odyssey. And I wrote a pretty lengthy post. You can read it if you want. And I think the reason I'm talking about it now is because the hair leader Cage, gave it a thumbs up. And the reason I say that is because I say look at the team that barely beat West Ham, and look at our best performance against Arsenal. I think that was our most complete performance. I mean, Arsenal, they had their chances, but pretty much they really, even maybe they didn't turn up, but the week before they beat Man City away. They put a really good performance in. So understandably, they think, well, we're going to play Tottenham. Probably, clearly nowhere near as good as Man City. We can put in a similar kind of style, approach, tactics, blah blah blah, and we'll beat them. Just didn't work. We really pushed Arsenal. They broke. So if you look at the squad then, squad now, there are a load of players that aren't playing. Obviously, Kabul, Capu, and Addy. Those 3 are clearly not featured. And the Kabul thing I'm going to leave that there. But what I'm trying to say is that it does take time for a manager. I think manager's going to come in, he'll have pre-season, but really he won't really understand, first of all, to implement he'll take about a month. They're going to say, well, these are the tactics, I can play this, I can play that player works, that doesn't work, so I can move things around. But even then, it takes at least another good, you're looking at March by the time you really thought, I've kind of got an idea of the players I don't want, these are the players I need to bring in. And then it takes another year to really bed in those new players, work it in, and then I think when he's getting into his 3rd season, can you really say, yeah, it's worked or it hasn't? And who's going to give any manager 2 years to do anything? I mean, look, I'll give you an example. Pellegrini won the title last year, didn't do anything this year. Got Champions League, but chances are he's going to get fired. Ancelotti won the Champions League last year, finished 2nd in La Liga. Real are going to fire him. So it doesn't, if you've got loads of money, they're still going to fire you, even if you do success, even recently. So it's very, it's just, I think it's the nature of the world we live in. We're very instant. We want something now. I want this now. This is what we live in. I think it's a reflection of society as a whole. But that's why I'm saying that in terms of the navel gazing we're looking at, there are players I think which need to move on. Can it happen overnight? No, God no. Because there's contracts, they're on good wages, there's transfer fees you want to recoup. There's a lot of things that go on. Now I can look at it and say, well look, I want that player, that player, that player. It's not a football manager, it takes time, there's negotiation, there's agents to deal with. Does a player want to move abroad? Simply so I think one of the things we saw was that Moussa Dembele, he was walking around with his kid, You know, I think his kid's like, I don't know how old his kid looked, but maybe he was definitely a toddler or something. You know, definitely about 6 months, 9 months old. Walking him around. Yeah, he's settled. He's got a family here. Does he want to uproot his kids out of London? You know, and if you've got children in school, for example, do you want to uproot them? Yeah, it's not as easy as just like, oh, play or go. You know, that's it. The players will look at, oh yeah, I'm going to go, but how does it affect my family? Oh, they're settled. You know, especially if they've been there a couple of years. You know, the players that have not been there as long, you know, they may start putting down roots. So they think, well, you know, I'm actually liking my lifestyle here. I don't want to move. You know, I'm getting good paid money. So it's very hard to bring players in, and especially bring players on. You've got to move those players on to bring players in. So I listened to the East Coast podcast, and I don't know who it was. There's a guy there. I think he's from the West Country or something. I'm really bad at accents, but he was saying that he was saying rightly, you can't bring them all in, take them all out. It doesn't work that way. But at the same time, we say, you've got to give these players chances. At the end of the day, a manager's only there for about 2 years. He gets fired. You know, that will haunt him. You know. So he's got to make decisions for this, you know, for the here and now, because, and you know, and football clubs, you know what I mean, they take years. These things take ages to go. And he was talking about, oh, Billy Nick was a great service club, and I'm sure he was. Double winner, won the league with us, you know, managed us to double. But yeah, there are other things that, you know, once you hear about, and I don't know, it kind of takes the warm glow off, you know, and you know, it's one of those things where football's always been a business. I mean, look at Keith Burkershaw, very, very good manager, you know, but we ended up getting rid of him and bringing in Pleat, bringing Shreves, we got rid of him, brought in Pleat, got rid of him. So do you see what I'm saying? We've never really had that stable, let's build something forward. And we've had my great success recently in terms of like the last modern history, and since I was born, was only the early 80s, but we weren't able to build upon that. So yeah, I think in terms of what we need to do, yeah, first of all, the positives. Harry Kane's the most clear positive. You know, the other positives are, you know, Eriksen's getting in the goals, Chadley's getting in the goals, and if he improves his defensive work rate, then I think we've got a very, very solid player there. He obviously is nowhere near as quick as, say, an Eden Hazard. I mean, I saw Eden Hazard play against us at the Lane, and he was just devastating. But, you know, unfortunately, we didn't get the Champions League that year. Chelsea did. They offered him a lot of money. He went there. 2 years on, or a year on, we're able to get Chadley. He's injured. He can't get the fitness he wants to. Obviously, he's had personal bereavements this year. The sad loss of his father. So yeah, things haven't worked. Yeah, but he's still got a fair amount of goals. You know, he scored against Hull. You know, I think he scored against two against QPR, and they're kind of evenly spread. I mean, like Newcastle, they could go down. He scored. I think once against them as well. So he has scored goals. So there has been improvement. Lamela, he's created 10 goals. You know, so eight or 9 goals, and I think he's got a goal in the league. Hopefully, given time, he'll improve. You know, I mean, he had a really bad back injury apparently. And if you look at him, because I thought we signed him, we signed a quick player. Clearly, something's happened in terms of his injury that he cannot run as quickly as he once did in the Italian league. Maybe because he looked spectacularly quicker because everyone else was comparatively slow. But when he came to the English league, which just moves a lot quicker, he isn't as quick. Or maybe the injuries, maybe it's a bit of both. But clearly, there's been an issue. He's had to readapt his game. But there are other positives. Eric Dyer, I mean, who no one, I don't think even Eric, not people, I don't think anyone knew who he was. Came in and he's had a very good, he's done very well. Had played most of the season out of position, and when he has been a centre back, he's not done that badly. I think we've shown some really good positives. Danny Rose, I got to meet his mum, and she was so lovely, he really improved. We clearly lack a good defensive midfielder that will sit, but can also bring the ball out and bring it forward. That's what we've lacked. And Sandro, he never really recovered from that injury, and he could shoot, but he wasn't the most quality like passing the ball and everything else. But he was a solid enough player. Clearly, we need to bring a centre midfielder in. The room is all about Schneiderlin. That's someone we want. If you look at again, the most successful manager I've known in my lifetime in terms of really watching, obviously Arsene Wenger, Mourinho, Ancelotti's, Klopp, Jose, all those guys. But one of the things you notice that they wanted to, when Arsene Wenger came in, he brought in players he knew. Jose Mourinho, when he moved, he brought in players he knew. I mean, he said this guy's brought Carvalho twice. He brought Etienne twice. He brought Drogba twice. Obviously, you know. But there's, you know, you need to bring every player, every manager needs to have someone like this player benefited from it. Not a spy in the camp, but someone who you can point to is like, this is the player. I've coached him before. He's really responded to me. Look at you know, they brought in Davy Blint. They're going to bring in Memphis Depay. You know, but Van Persie obviously clearly one of his own men because you know, Van Gaal coached him at the national team. So every successful manager needs someone that he can say that that's my man. You know, so here's some example that this guy has benefited from my coaching. This guy knows how I like to work, and I think that really helps. You know, we've seen the emergence of Ryan Mason. Is Ryan Mason starting many games next season if we get someone like Schneiderlin? Possibly not, but I think, you know, given how well he has played, I mean, he's got in ahead of Paulinho, you know, and I think, will he move on? Probably. I mean, Paulinho, oh, he's shit. No, he's not a shit player. He's obviously a very good player, but when we signed him, and, you know, let's face it, it takes, let's say, 3 months to identify your targets you're looking for. And then this bail windfall happens. So you have to completely rejig your strategy as a result of that. And you have to cast your net far and wide. And you think, well, I either go with a couple players, but if they get injured or they don't pan out, I'll spread the risk. It's prudent. If all 4 fail, then that's just, you know, or get injured or can't get form. That's when the shit really hits the fan. But I'm not talking Paulinho. Now you say we can qualify that. You know, he's playing for Brazil, Confederations. Yeah, he's a good player, but you can't really back time on that basis. Cleveson on the freaking World Cup of Brazil in 2002. Alex Ferguson signed him. He didn't really do that much for Alex Ferguson at United. So it doesn't always work, you know, the way you want it to. In terms of this season, though, I think, you know, Bentaleb has grown. We clearly missed him during the African Cup of Nations, and it says quite a lot that our most important centre midfielder, in terms of all the players we brought in, was a 20-year-old that basically came from the academy that no one had heard of literally a year before. And now, and then Mason, I think everyone knew who he was. Yeah, but you know, still, is he going to be that player? You know, is he going to be that player? Well, we'd like him to. He's local. You know, he's from Monaco, he's Enfield, and he's, you know, he loves the club. But you know, it doesn't always work. I mean, I can think of a player that comes from Chingford, hit the ground running, did pretty well, went off the boil, and now he gets, you know, gets a lot of derision. They'll chant his name. Now they don't. No one chants. He's one of our own, Andrew Charlton. Not really. Not like he did to Harry Kane. Because Harry Kane has had that run, and he's had to spread that over game after game after game after game after game, and he's been able to build up to that. We've got Addy being very candid on Facebook. We've got all kinds of things going on. Clearly, there has to be changes. For me, I've gone over this, but centre forward is an issue. We've got Addy having a very public meltdown on Facebook. I feel bad for him a little bit. I mean, what he's going through with his family, apparently, I wouldn't wish that on any man or beast. Soldado, it hasn't worked out for him. And you know what? I'm sure he'll go off to someone like Villarreal and he'll score like 20 goals. He'll be in his place, he's settled, plays to his strengths, bang, 20 goals. But more importantly, he's not going to be playing at the, I mean, I'm not being bad. If you're playing like the likes of Levante or Almeria, not really strong sides, you can, I wouldn't say they're cans, but they're not the strongest teams in the world. That's why the Premier League is so popular. I mean, say you want, this hasn't been a great Premier League, as we've seen. Not a lot of the clubs have actually done that well in Champions League times. But we've seen, Crystal Palace get tonked by, tonking Liverpool at home. We've seen Stoke beating the crap out of, not Stoke, of us. We've seen West Brom beat the shit out of Chelsea. So it does happen. You're not going to get that as much, I say, in a foreign league as you will go over here. It's just a much more different animal. That's why you tend to look inward and say, look, we need to sign players from this country, and these are players we need to look to sign, and they carry low risk. I looked at Tamboli, and I beat a couple of Europa League games where he's actually featured. Didn't really stand out for me. And whenever I've seen him play, he just looks really slow. He just looks as if he's running with lead boots. And maybe, I don't know what's gone on. We want Schneiderlin, we got him. It hasn't worked out. Sometimes it can work out. Sometimes, if you look at, say, Southampton, they had to sell a whole bunch of their players, but the players they brought in, Mane, Tadic, and Pele have done pretty well. Are they going to do as well next season? Interesting. We'll find out. But do you see what I'm saying? It does take time. It does take a lot of luck, and you're not guaranteed. You know, and one thing is you're not guaranteed in the Premier League. You know, it's not luck. It's time. You're not guaranteed that much time to really settle down and bring what you want to show. You know, I think there will be a lot of players that do go. I think Capu, Holtby's going. I think that deal was redone. Lennon's probably going to go. You know, Addy, if they're not going to sign him on those ridiculous wages, then I think he's going to go. But the way he's doing it, is it part of a ploy to stay at Spurs, or say, look, give me a settlement and I'll fob off something, you know, the way Benny did. Cabal the same. I think he's got a contract for another year or something, I think. So again, he's on good wages. All we know is to move him on. You know, we've obviously been linked with Wimmer and some Ukrainian guy. Yevgen Kopolek. I can't pronounce it. Kop. We'll call him a Kop. But you know, we've got other players coming through. Obviously, Dele Alli, you know, and Alex Pritchard. And I do like Alex Pritchard from what I've seen. I've only seen him live a couple of times in terms of watching Brentford games on telly, but from what I have seen is that he does track back. I mean, there's a moment he loses the ball on the home leg and he really goes back to get it. I'm not saying Chadley won't, but defensively Chadley isn't that great. Maybe someone Alex Pritchard coming in, if we are in Europa, which a lot of people are a bit, you know, but if it gives a platform for the likes of your Dele Allis, your Tom Carrolls, assuming he stays there, assuming that he doesn't move him on, we'll never know. I mean, clearly he must have looked at it and he thought, well, do you know what, I don't want to play him that often, so give him a loan, see how he does. I think Tom Carroll may moved on, but who knows? He might decide, you know what, I want to stick in and fight for my place. I've seen how Ryan Mason's responded. I'm going to show I'll have a fantastic pre-season, and I'm going to turn the manager's opinion of me. Maybe it won't happen. Dele Alli, I've only seen highlights of him. I haven't really seen a lot of his games, but clearly he's 6'1", 6'2". He's a big lad. He's only going to get more, develop a lot more. He's clearly too good for the Championship, for League One, sorry, and he scored a whole bunch of goals, and he can obviously tackle, and he can probably pass the ball and stuff like that, pass it forward. Yeah, that's League One. The quality is nowhere near as good. Ryan Mason's managed to make a step up from being in League One, not doing that really, not really pulling up any trees, to starting for our team. He's not pulling up our trees for us, but he's being a solid player. Maybe he can be solid. Yeah, and if he's spectacular in the Europa, maybe we'll have that group play, because that's one thing I remember from an earlier Spurs podcast, that they don't really that Pochettino has a core group of players he trusts. That's why he's in Roger Rodriguez. Like, why Roger Rodriguez? Because he's been injured. Because he thinks, well, you know what? He can do what Hadley can do, but he'll also track back. That's why he's put a lot of interest into him. Now, if Capaniana is free, then that's a no-brainer. Leaves, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take your arm off. I'll sign him, and whatever I pay him, wages, I'll recoup just by selling him on. Even after paying him, I don't know, signing on fee. I don't know how many, say a couple million signing on fee. Even if you sell him off 10 million or 7-8 million, that recuperates God knows how much of the wages that he'll end up getting anyway. So I can see that being a good deal. Danny Ings, I'd like to see a sign him. Whereas will Liverpool sign him? I don't know, because they've got that Origi guy who was on loan, but they didn't sign him. They signed him and back to his club. I don't know what he's doing. They've got Lambert. Now Lambert's probably going to get paid good money, and chances are, he's happy in Liverpool. That's where he's from. He's going to stick it out. He's played in the Premier League. He's achieved the dream. Why leave? Unless they're going to do what they do with Benny and just say, look, here's some cash, just piss off or something. So I think we've got a good chance of signing Ings, but we'll see. But in terms of this season, I'm pretty happy with the fact that, look, Arsenal, Chelsea, always when you beat them, it's always good to beat them. But they weren't squeaky. Oh, we just sneaked past them. These are solid wins. Chelsea were not so much, but in terms of the fact that we did give them a couple of goals, and we did go behind. We did against Arsenal, but it was you were still like, ooh, we could still But against Arsenal, we scored in the 85th minute. We dominated, but that could have been a 1-1 draw. So clearly, we have to get better at taking our chances, converting our chances, and clearly our defence needs work. We need to have a better shield in front of them, better protection. I also need better centre halves. I mean, Vlad. I mean, let's face it. I was so glad I missed that State game. I really am, for God knows how many reasons. I think Fed. I don't know. Fed is an interesting one. Clearly, yeah, he's not suited to playing the high line. You know, we brought him in. He can't read the game as well. You know, and if you're going to play, we were going to sign Musashi. I don't want to sign him now. He's done his ankle really badly. They're completely physically opposites. One's 5'11", the other one's 6'7". One's got a very good tennis tackle, the other one hasn't. One's, you know, it's. I think we have to back the manager, but I can understand it. We've done that before. I mean, Levy's still being burnt by that Rebrov thing from years ago when he bought a player and it's write off 10 million purely because the new manager that came in didn't like him. That's going to be a risk. Is he prepared to take that risk? Well, I don't know. We obviously have had the good news that the kebab company, you know, they manufacture catering stuff for kebab restaurants, stuff like that. Archway Medal, they've lost a legal bid, but that means we have to get them MK Dons probably. So it'll be an interesting time for us in terms of what we can do. But we have got the new stadium, that's going to come in. But we have to fill it. I mean, there are many times, you know, there was a Spurs ticket doing the rounds on Spurs Odyssey, and nobody was taking it because we weren't playing that well. And obviously, it's austere times. It's like 40, 50 quid a ticket. If you're not someone that's used to paying that much, you know, obviously, you know, seeing tickets costing how much they do, even going out. I mean, you know, drinks, food, everything. It does add up. You go out to a game, it can cost us 70, 80, 90 quid or something. Yeah, and I live locally. I mean, those guys have to travel up from God knows where to come to, you know, North London. Yeah, it does add up. So yeah, but overall, in terms of the season, yeah, we have done well. I like to think that the Carling Cup has shown that we can get good results together. We've shown that a combination of youth rightly, we can bring in youth. And so yeah, I'd like to think that we can hopefully beat Everton, and I'm hoping Stoke does a favour and actually draw or beat Liverpool, and that we go above them, and so we can say to Rodgers, haha, fuck you cunts. Sorry that I call, you know, but I'm sorry, but I really despise Ben Rodgers. I really liked him at Swansea. I don't know what it is. I think Liverpool, I don't know. I think I've got Jez's hatred of Liverpool or something. Jez is a fan of Keane. Yeah, he's checking out Spurs from the UK. First of all, I'd like to say thanks to me and Ken Saxton and Holly and Vicky from Staffordshire. They came out. It was a very weird story what happened with those guys. But yeah, from Hotspur America, check that out. It's a very good podcast. Another one's the Tottenham North Carolina Spurs. They do an excellent podcast. And there's some really good podcasts out there. eSpurs, another great podcast. Check out Spurs Fanatic. Good buddy of mine, you know, Mark, does some really interesting insights into tactical awareness about, you know, how to set up. And he's a very honest person. He's very pragmatic as well. Definitely check him out. And yeah, obviously Spurs Show, Sir Stafford Bloor, check him out. He writes, I don't know what he exactly writes. I never used Max it, but he does some very good articles. Raj Baines, similar. Brett Rainbow, all that's Cartilage Free, Rule the Roost. So there's some really good podcasts. I mean, for me, I trek to Henley to do jiu-jitsu, and it's a bit of a mission. So it's when I have, you know, some really good podcasts, it, you know, bloody hell, it does help kill, you know, a fairly long old journey. So yeah, there's some really good podcasts out there, and I'm glad that hopefully maybe my pod might be seen to be up there one time. Anyway, really grateful for the support, you know, for the season. From all the Spurs fans. It was a great, the barbecue, we had such a good time. That's what it's all about. Football, you know, when you're watching it and playing it, it's just being with your friends, being with people you really enjoy spending time with, having a few cold ones, having a bit of good food, bit of banter, and if your team win, it just makes a perfect weekend. So I just want to say thanks to all the Spurs fans I've got had a chance to interact with, the Spurs, new Spurs fans and mate, I've been trying to force on, like, it's Spurs shop, you're a Spurs fan now. So yeah, I just want to say thanks to all of you guys, and let's hope to a better season. Just quickly, I'd like to bring in Alderweireld, knows Jan Vertonghen, and I think he played at Ajax. If those two can work with good chemistry, if we can keep Hugo Lloris, and if we can get someone like Schneider in front of them, that little diamond there, you can really work. We also looked at Nathaniel Klein. He obviously knows Pochettino well, and Paul Mitchell, obviously, see how that one works. Clearly, right back is an issue. Holbrook's had a huge amount of injury when he's not whacking to our own players. And the Edlin clearly isn't ready. May use ball in the American market. But clearly, I think we have improved. I mean, and there isn't as much points out to it. And I want to say a big shout out to some guys that follow me on Twitter. So Francesca, Neve, Sam McCarthy, Slevin Silver X Titan, and yeah, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm W4TheRealShabon. Anyway, sorry if I've gone a bit too long, but I love Tottenham, I love Spurs, I love being the fact that I'm part of the You'd Army!